think about it this way, David. If we know that PMF is so powerful, we see it replicated in nature. We know that red light is so powerful, we see it replicated in nature. We see that trees, plants, animals always get both. Why would we only do studies with one? And why wouldn't this become the mainstay, the combination of red light and PMF? And why am I one of the only people talking about this? I'm going to God's MedBed and then showing you the MedBed that God made, that it's already here. The red light and the PMF go together in the same way that a tree or a plant will utilize both the frequency from the sun and the frequency from the earth. And both will interface with the mitochondria in the plant. And that's what causes the energy of the plant so that it can perform all functions. And it's interesting that we have trees that have lived thousands of years. And what is it that they had? Uninterrupted
sunlight.
Yep. And the Earth's magnetic field.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are coming into the end of the year and the mixed messaging across the planet. You are going to need to think about your own bodies again, because they're telling you overconsume, double consume, triple consume. But wait, don't do that here. So, I mean, all this mixed messaging is, one thing's clear. You're just going to have to work these things through yourself, and no better way to do that than using red light therapy. Jonathan Otto, myredlight.com, joins me again today. We wanted to talk about MedBeds. This has been getting a lot more traction in the media now, talking about militaries actually using this. There's people, these ultra rich characters that have been using this for quite some time, and now it's finding its way out into the public arenas. And a couple of interviews ago, we were talking about, is this true? Is it hyped? Is it real? What is it with sound, light, frequency, and this whole gamut of things that we used to use back in the early 1900s that have finally found their way back up to the surface again. But since we're coming to the end of the year, it's that perfect time for Black Friday, coming into the gift season. And I wanted to talk about this, for red light using on the bodily extremities, for the arms, legs, knees, that sort of thing. But Jonathan, I'm already rambling too much. So thank you for joining me. And MedBeds, please stick around for this important interview. You're going to start to learn the truth of what's been hidden from us, and truly what's out there available for us, that they keep trying to push you back into a little toxic pill.
So true. David, thank you. I appreciate you having me. And what an exciting subject to be talking about when people are suffering so much with disease. It's fascinating to know that there are solutions, and that a lot of the data I'm going to show people is unbelievable, but it's coming from mainstream sources. It's peer reviewed. This is rigorously conducted, scientific, evaluations on the use of frequency-based medicine involving red light and pulse electromagnetic field therapy, which I'm saying is the MedBed that people have been looking and waiting for. It has arrived. And what a better way to really explore that, to understand that, to see whether the studies match up and whether they can truly validate this claim. And I think that's what people are going to really enjoy during our conversation. What do you think?
Yeah, that's great, because that's usually the missing piece. So a lot of people are talking about light with just red light, but when you bring the magnetic field coupling with that together, now the only thing I was talking to my friend outside when we were talking about this is, like, you just need some mad speakers to put in the frequency that you want to tune yourself into while all of this is happening. So we got vibration and frequency.
So true. Exactly.
Right. So if you had a mad stereo set, turn that thing on, and whatever, the whole list and range of frequencies. That's just true medicine. That's the way it was. And I really believe cathedrals used to be these healing centers. That's why the resonance is so different, and why, when you get that stained glass window, that the frequency of light coloring coming through. So imagine the way that the vibration is channeling up through some of these columns, going up to the higher, spires up there. I think we've lost something truly in our prehistory. I wouldn't even say prehistory, but just several centuries ago. That segment got wiped away from our just common knowledge and placed into the hands of a few that we need to go through as gatekeepers to, try to heal our bodies. But I digress.
Wow. Yeah, no, I feel you on that. That's fascinating.
Boom.
Yeah. So here's a blockbuster, David. So this was
all right, blockbuster. Here we go.
Not blockbuster video. That's gone. So, but 41 clinical trials with 6,400 children, and red light therapy was the #1 therapy for stopping and halting and even reversing vision worsening.
Okay, wait a second. I'm not sure what this term means, myopia or myopia. I've heard
Yeah,
of it, but
myopia is
I can't. My brain doesn't click to a definition.
is that child, that image, right? Those big fisheye, magnifying glass goggles.
Coke bottle glasses.
Yeah, there you go. That's what myopia is. So the child's eyesight is worsened as if they're an old person, and this has become normal with these children with these Coke bottle glasses. And red light is the #1 therapy based on 41 clinical trials and 6,400 children to halt vision worsening and to prevent elongation of the eye. So you'll see that here where it says specifically that red light is thought to work by improving blood flow in the eye, reducing strain and inflammation, helping prevent the eyeball from elongating too quickly. So that's a great study. There it is right there. And we've a collection of 41 studies. So it's really good metadata. And then you have a look at this one here. This is for Hashimoto's thyroiditis. This is the combination of selenium, vitamin D, and red light together was here associated with 96% of the women reaching normal thyroid size. These are women that had enlarged thyroids going to regular thyroids. That was a blockbuster right there, and you can see it. It was
okay. Again, like with the thyroid, what's causing that hypersensitivity, or what turns that on? And that thyroid has what function for the body?
Yeah, so it produces hormones. It's what regulates weight. It will dictate whether you're happy or sad, whether you've got schizophrenia or not. There's a lot of connections between schizophrenia and thyroid disease, and any kind of mood disorder, mental disorder. So thyroid is very, very regulatory for brain function, and then the thyroid is connected to the gut. And basically, if anyone's struggling with weight to the point where it feels like they breathe and gain weight, they actually probably are just gaining weight by breathing. And so you'll find as well, like I sit down and eat a huge meal. I'm sitting next to somebody, and I don't have any excess body fat. I'm sitting next to somebody that is eating like a bird and they're extremely overweight. That's not fair. Why is that happening? And it's thyroid function is almost always driving that issue. And so in this case, there's two different groups. One was, it says here, 98 females aged 20 to 50, divided into two groups. Group 1 received photobiomodulation and supplements. Group 2 received supplements only. Parameters were 820 wavelength, which is near infrared, 200. And it's interesting, we've got 810, 830, 850. So 810 and 820 and 830 are so close that you would basically shelve them as being the same. And 830 is a much more commonly studied wavelength, so hence why it would still be my choice. And a 200 milliwatts of power, which is just under what we have in ours. So that's interesting as well. We've got 205 milliwatts per centimeter squared at 3 inches, and continuous mode, so not with the pulsation flashing. 20 seconds per joint and 8 points, 32 joules per point, twice weekly for 3 weeks. Both groups receive vitamin D supplementation and the oral selenium. 97 participants completed the study, 51 in group 1, 46 in group 2. Group 1 showed significantly greater improvements in TV normalization, weight loss reduction, and so forth. The study demonstrates, and that's where you see the direct result there, where 96% went to normal thyroid size within the 12 months. And so, MedBed technology is about regenerating organs. And so there you have the example that the thyroid is, you look at this, reducing the need for medication, which means that the thyroid is now producing hormones, the harmful antibodies, which means the inflammation is being countered, and hormone balance, we're normalizing. And the issues with toxins in the thyroid, which include fluoride and bromine and halogens. These are being detoxed out of the thyroid so that thyroid function is normalized. So these are the types of things that you want to see with regenerative therapies, and with what really matches the MedBed specifications, which would be that not only would it regenerate, but it would, if it truly works, it's going to work with how the body detoxifies and repairs itself from toxic threats. And so that's what we see in these studies, which is really cool.
Now, can you wind back thyroid there? Like, if we're gonna, we both have the device right here. So we're placing your body, or would you be using more of a handheld type of thing around the neck there, or where?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah,
I mean, just best placement for that in terms of targeting that particular, let's say,
well,
ailment.
sure. What I would do is I would just have my shirt off, and then I would be around anywhere from 1 inch to 3 inches away. And then I would just let the light, like if I've got my chin down, yes, true. The problem would be that I'd block it a tiny bit. But if I put my head up like this, bam, it's getting my whole area here. It's getting the whole thyroid, which is exactly where it's lit up with that woman's index finger. Yes. And here's the thing. Now I'm getting it to my heart as well. Now I'm getting it to my gut. Now I'm getting it to every organ, because it's going to hit every organ all the way down to the groin area. So anyway, that's what I would do. I get it, and then especially I'd get it into my brain, and I would actually open my eyes and look into it. I would just take out the blue, because we put in some blue there to be able to, you know, fix and work with the circadian rhythm. And then you see an example here where this one, I've got that mode selected off, so it's just straight up red, and that's the 200 and that's the 300 max. So you've got kind of options there, which is on size and so forth.
Yeah, and I like it also, the unit where it's on a stand. With that stand, you can bring it all the way down. So if you want to lay down on the floor, you can have it hovering over you, or you can keep it up like this on the side.
Yeah.
You know, I can see if I can do something with this. Oh, I have it too tight on here with the screws in the back. So, but anyway, you can get this to do different angles, shall we say. So if you're sitting somewhere and you want the angle from beneath coming up, versatile, let's say. So again, if you want to do it laying down, if you want to use it sitting at a certain angle, you can wire that in there, what your preference would be.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Absolutely. So then you've got here red light therapy and cancer. What's interesting with this is that that's an illustration there of normalizing cells. And, you know, it's interesting that this normalization is happening through frequency, restoring the correct message to the cell. So it is a fascinating concept, because people think of it as going and killing, like I'm going to go kill all these, you know, bad cells and all this kind of thing. But it's actually more about giving the cells energy and voltage so that they can go and do everything they need to do. They can perform all cellular function. So red and near infrared light can penetrate deeply into tissues and cells, because these wavelengths pass easily through skin and cell membranes. Once inside, the light reaches the mitochondria, where it's absorbed by molecules like cytochrome C oxidase and oxygen. This absorption triggers a burst of reactive oxygen species, oxidative stress, that damages the cancer cell's mitochondria and mitochondrial DNA, disrupting its energy production and signaling. As a result, the cancer cell becomes unstable and eventually undergoes apoptosis and programmed cell death, while healthy cells remain largely unaffected. And that's the study underneath there. And you start understanding that these principles are, you know, super powerful. And it's interesting that you've got two different therapies I'm positioning as being the collective that equate to the MedBed. And the red light and the PMF go together in the same way that a tree or a plant would utilize both the frequency from the sun and the frequency from the earth. And both will interface with the mitochondria in the plant. And that's what causes the energy of the plant, so that it can perform all functions. And it's interesting that we have trees that have lived thousands of years. And what is it that they had? Uninterrupted
sunlight.
Yep. And the Earth's magnetic field.
Yeah, they're tapped in. Now just think about on a mind-boggling just thought process. Every photon is capturing and can transmit information. So itself is what you would consider a living organism of transference of of electric current and also information. So if transference of information is realigning something that's out of alignment, then
Hmm.
you think about a photon and how many of those are coming from the sun. I mean, this so mind-bogglingly large numbers that it doesn't make sense for us to try to comprehend as a number. You
Yeah.
think about that much light energy coming in to try to reorient, reconfigure, and realign something that's out of balance that was already given to us from the sun that comes in every day. It's just fascinating to think about. Light is information and energy both.
Exactly. Exactly. That's so true. So you've got that, you've got that in combination there, and it is, it's fascinating. So what you'll find here is I'm going to give some examples here, and this is now PMF on chronic pain, and I could show you studies on red light and chronic pain, and it's interesting that you've got very similar results, and in isolation they're doing really well. Like in this case, for example, the 400 patients, half showed meaningful pain relief, especially when PMF was combined with physical therapy. No serious side effects reported. What would that mean if you combine them? Might mean that you've got a 100% chance of success. And then meaningful pain relief doesn't necessarily mean 100%. And I think that that's one of these issues. Like, why? Think about it this way, David. If we know that PMF is so powerful, we see it replicated in nature. We know that red light is so powerful, we see it replicated in nature. We see that trees, plants, animals always get both. Why would we only do studies with one? And why wouldn't this become the mainstay, the combination of red light and PMF? And why am I one of the only people talking about this? I'm going to God's MedBed and then showing you the MedBed that God made, that it's already here. And how much more time do you want, considering we're about 120 years into the discovery of red light? And like, in terms of in a scientific setting, we're thousands of years in terms of it being used with the sun, but I'm talking about people harnessing it using technology has been 120 years, and about the same time in PMF. So I'm not sure if you need more time. The technology has been developed over that time. I have been consulted with like the president's family, for example, for their health, like as in not every family member, but a couple of family members. As an example, I've been called in on cases with famous celebrities, household names, from like late stage cancer to basic conditions, thyroid, chronic fatigue, etc. And I'm telling you that if there was something bigger and better out there, I would be an example of somebody that would probably know about it. And I was consulting and helping the Hilton family office recently with the Hilton Hotel, and you could you look at J. Bradley Hilton, who's leading this J. Bradley Hilton Experience wellness platform, and he's tapped into some really advanced technology. I'm impressed with some of the things he's found, but yeah, none of the particular things were substitutes for PMF or red light. And these would be the things that he himself uses, and I was helping him to understand how better to use it and so forth. So anyway, I'm just telling you, like, this whole thing is there's not something coming that is not yet here. And if you're talking about now intensity, well, we're at that peak of intensity, and then there's not really more where, okay, well, let's make the red light twice as more powerful. Well, at 200 milliwatts per centimeter squared, it is so power intense that you don't need more, and if you did have more, it wouldn't necessarily do anything more. So anyway, that's interesting. Same thing with PMF. So these are really kind of cool concepts. Now,
Yeah, and a quick comment on that. At some point where they try to overdo it, where that you can't uptake that much selenium in your body, you can't uptake that much zinc or that much certain minerals. You think about, it says take one, or depending on what the purity is or what type of quality you have, and different supplements that might take and then augment with, like you were talking about before, uptaking a certain time after ingestion in the body to help that then uptake through the body at its ultimate possible optimum uptake. If you take 2, 3, 4 times, then it just doesn't do anything. You're right. He comes into almost wasting things.
Yep.
At that point, there's only so much. And I'm really, the reason I kept saying that is when I chill out with red light in the morning, when I'm waking up, I'm trying to get that sense of the sun's already super bright and I'm getting up, and I turn on frequencies. I do. I listen. There's a million free frequencies on YouTube that you can use, and just try to go through some different resonances and see which one clicks with you. You know, you need a little more upbeat energy in the 700s. If you want to chill out, you can go to 528. If you want to get a little lower, you know, but in conjunction with something like this, taught me about the supplements and that sort of thing as the uptake.
You've got answers. You've got, the body needs something, and once it gets it, it's got it. And you know, because it's interesting, some people try to argue with me, no, that's not MedBed technology. MedBed technology is going to be something else. And but if you're a theist, if you believe in God, it has to be something replicated in nature. So show me what in nature it's going to be, and how could it be anything better than what causes trees that live thousands of years, and what God, you know, obviously originally made, whether it was in the Garden of Eden or another process. Obviously, you know, I'm giving the understanding there that I'm a Christian. So, but whatever worldview you're from, those that really have this sacred perception of life, and that original design is perfect, and we can't beat it. We could channel it, we could expand it and amplify it, but we can't actually fight it and think we can outmatch it, because you can't even keep your own heart beating. You can't even, you go to sleep at night and everything works for you, and you wake up still alive, and you didn't have to memorize how many breaths you had to take and how many times your heart had to beat. You're literally running on a program that is given to you somehow, which is so cool to think about. And all you got to do is then work out, well, what was this designed for? It naturally just functions. And if I can get closer to nature, I'll be able to get back in sync with this. So that, you know, without anyone making any financial purchases or anything like that, get into nature, get your feet on the ground, get your body on the ground, get your body into light, take your shirt off. If you're, you know, a woman, you know, and then you find a place that you could do that, or, you know, wear a sports bra or whatever in an appropriate area, whatever you need to do, get that sunlight. And then here's an example here now. Now, when we take the enhanced technologies of PMF and light and look at what it does for cancer. This is breast cancer. When PMF was tested against breast cancer, it slowed their growth, triggered cell death, pushed them into a state called senescence, where cells stop multiplying but don't die right away. Remarkably, normal healthy cells weren't just unaffected. They actually showed signs of improved health and increased growth. And this it continues and shows that the PMF-treated cancer cells underwent both cell death and senescence. Normal fibroblasts remained unharmed, and that's what you see here. They were not affected. And so, but it increased their cellular viability. So this is pretty special.
Yeah, PubMed's a very respected journal there, so you just don't get slack stuff coming in there after a peer-reviewed process. They're very meticulous.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Exactly. And this doesn't have a conflict of interest. You'll find that you go through all these studies and you can't find what product is being offered, because there is no product offering. That's great for everyone. It allows companies such as myself then to say, okay, well, look, here's the specs, here's the wavelengths that they used, here's the irradiance that they used. And in the thyroid case, we showed 200. That's as high as it gets. That's what we've got. We got the highest irradiance that you can find, which is awesome. But here you've got, you know, the 660 nanometer red light LED, which is amazing that you're now seeing this at home technology proving so effective. And so the reason why I'm like showing you those back on back, that was one condition, and I showed PMF and then I showed red light, but I didn't show them in combination because I don't know of any studies that exist like that to combine these therapies. And here's an example here where 69.7% of the PMF participants no longer had clinically significant insomnia by the end of treatment. Just think about how those people's lives would change.
Yeah, sleep's super important for regenerating as well. If you don't sleep well,
yep,
the older you get, the more less sleep you have. It just whacks you for days on end. I ended up staying up really late one night working and couldn't get to sleep till like 4 or 5 a.m. and it wrecked me for 3 days.
Yep, there you go.
And I didn't even drink anything. I was just up late working. I didn't party or anything. I was just, I just didn't sleep right, and it just took me out at the knees.
Oh yeah, yep. Your body yeah, said you've got some debt here with us, so you're in trouble. So these are examples here.
Light trading into a leaf. That's really interesting because that's truly the transfer of information, DNA coding, and then also the source of energy for that photosynthetic process, chlorophyll production. You think
Yes,
those
you
things
got
live?
it.
Like you hit it on the head.
Exactly.
You think those things live for 1,000 years? Like just because they're there and the soils are good?
Yeah.
The soil's got to be pretty good.
Yes, I do. Yes, but
Yeah,
but
but
the
I
thing
have
that
trees on my property
overwhelms.
that are 150 years old. So I mean, why are they there for 150 years?
Yeah, exactly. Let me just look up how old are the oldest trees alive. Methuselah, this tree is allegedly 4,850 years old. That's interesting.
Yeah, and look how close to the
That's
sunlight it is too. It's right at the edge of the tree line there by itself up.
true.
Not
Yeah, it's got
yeah, and
nothing
it's really
blocking it.
much higher up in terms of UV radiation and light on that.
Yeah, it's getting the
Not way down in the
and then
forest covered by the canopy.
exactly, and beyond the soil density. Well, this one here, it's saying up to 14,000 years old and 16,000. I actually believe that the Earth is a bit younger than that, but it's that's what I think based on my study of the Bible and other things. But these ones to me are probably just right on. And yeah, look at these ages. It's just really fascinating. And the key with this is when you talked about the soil. The soil is only a part of it. I think it's mostly the magnetic field that is causing that to thrive. And once you see these studies, it starts making more sense because it's so profound that, like, let's say you go and do PEMF, which is the pulse magnetic field of the Earth, but you're hitting at a higher density. And this is why you'll see that this is an example where the magnetic field strength of the PEMF device that we have that we're offering is 150 millitesla. The grounding, the Earth is 0.00005, and that, which is 4 zeros, millitesla. So it's a night and day difference, not even a single millitesla. So how could it, which is multitude, very similar to the amplitude difference, which is a million times stronger from this PMF device versus the Earth's grounding. And this is ChatGPT. You put in the specs, then compare that to the Earth, and then you see that in the studies. And then the 1 to 30 hertz range is the frequency range of the mat, but the 1 to 30 hertz range is what's in the mat, and then the Earth is the 0. But you see examples here with this where it was the 1 to 30 hertz range for the knees, and this was with osteoarthritis, and it was 9 sessions, 1 hour each. And look at how long it lasts. For the pain relief continued for up to 6 months without any side effects. So if you, by just doing 1 hour 9 times, then could then have 6 months of pain relief, what does that tell you for this important magnetic field and how important it is for life and for the normal functioning of things? And so is that why we see nature thrive? Because of the combination of light and pulse magnetic fields at the same time? Pretty obvious to me. How could you deny it?
You can't, because when you go through history and you see changes in the Earth's magnetic field or magnetic reversals itself, then we start to see large drops in speciation. But then the very next, I guess, lineage born out of that takes on a different form as well. That's born into that new magnetic field. That thrives as a super being in that new magnetic field, because that it truly is everything. Our motors don't work without the correct orientation magnetically. Do you think our bodies, how about our brains processing information in a different magnetic field? Like if that's off, like psychosis across humanity is definitely gonna be showing at a much higher frequency if the magnetic field of our planet is indeed tweaking, or if there's some disturbance in that pattern. Our brains, but I mean, more than I do about this, but just the electrical frequency in the magnetic spheres of your brain also. There's so much that's tied to electromagnetism and magnetic field, just to stay alive and thrive in this. So like you say, when you're talking about creation has that blueprint, if you're able to get yourself back in stasis inside that blueprint, that cosmic blueprint that's here, like once you go out of phase with that, that's when you start to get the dis-ease. So you need to come back in phase again and find what nature is already providing. And with our modern technologies, we're able to actually, for a better term, wire that down into exactly what the milliteslas, nanoteslas are and what the frequencies are and the hertz and megahertz and all these things, Schumann resonance. And we can come down to conclusion, which you've done so eloquently.
Thank you.
Yeah, this, you're looking at Nikola Tesla here and a form of mind. So
thank you.
Take the old Tesla photos and put him next to like a Faraday cage, Jonathan in his Faraday cage, and the red light devices. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Oh, that's so cool. I like, look, there's definitely people smarter than me out there. One of the things that I think that I've really excelled at is the ability to connect the dots and to land the plane and be able to cross-reference data in such a powerful way that allows me to be able to crack the code on, what's driving disease, how to fix it. And I am really proud of that because the results speak for themselves. Like I'll go to events and, when, the most rewarding thing is not having people saying, I'd follow your work. It's, I followed your work and here's what happened for me. And the results are almost unbelievable. In short here, just like looking at, okay, the PMF, you're looking for these factors like that 150 millitesla was most associated with working with stem cells to make them like express key healing factors like collagen and VEGF, which is vascular endothelial growth factor and bone building proteins. And this is what creates new blood vessels, essential for tissue repair and recovery. So 150 millitesla, important to look for. 1 to 30 hertz range, important to look for. 86 to 158 around that degrees Fahrenheit for far infrared, important to look for so that it can get your body's heat up and use far infrared, different to near infrared, different to mid infrared. And so, which is really cool that mat has all three in one. And I'll show you what that looks like. Here's an example of PMF far infrared and microcurrent in one. It worked better. So quicker rehabilitation, better blood circulation, and enhanced functional strength. And here you've got the 180 milliwatts at the surface. That's the irradiance. You look for that. That's really like a clinical grade. You got the green, red, and blue.
I actually happen to have one of those right here in front.
Nice. Yeah, show us what you got, man.
Oh, it's upside down. Bring it out. Yeah, it's quite long, so you can actually put it on the bed.
Nice.
You put it on the bed, lay that thing down, and check out the different colors on the lights here.
Beautiful.
And then the temperature, really, we love warming up with this thing.
Nice.
Like on cold mornings, and you get in there, it replicates the warmth of the sun coming in, and like I say, it is girthy and incredibly well built. The heat comes in.
Thank you.
And you got the different frequencies on the lights, and then to lay down on a bed, not so much sitting in a chair. At least I found maybe you know more about the devices than myself. I only use it laying down.
Yeah, exactly. But if you had a couch that you could kind of lay it on, you could sit it on a couch, and you could lay on the couch, and you could lie down on a couch. You could make it follow the contour of the couch, and if you were kind of like, look, I just want to find a way to use this, you could slump it over and kind of just let it you kind of crease into it. But if you want to make it perfect, just lie flat. But I'm just begging people to use this consistently, and any way that you can find a way to use this consistently is going to change your life in dramatic ways. And if you have the ability, you can just get the red light out of the PMF mat. So yes, that is a one way just to kind of do one thing, get a full body treatment, very affordable, payment plans, all that stuff. It's great. But you may find that the best thing to do is to get a red light panel like this, and then do that on top, and then the PMF mat underneath, and sandwich yourself in there. And so that's what we've referred to as the MedBed.
Well, excuse me. Once I turn that on, like when you first get it turned on, I can really feel that like electric field change around my head a lot. Like you can feel kind of it's like an invigorating buzz for the best term I can use for that. But you can definitely feel around your head, like you feel like I'm really sensitive to ley lines. When we're walking around, I can feel that magnetic difference in ley line. I sort of get that same feeling of just at a very light cusp of that laying in there when it first starts off for like first 10, 15 minutes. I can really feel it coming around. I can get it just in that area around the head here. So
nice.
But I'm sensitive to that kind of magnetism. Maybe that's why I've so been really deep into electromagnetic fields, because I kind of understand in my body. So when we go to temples and these types of things, I can feel it, and I get like this metal taste in my teeth when I'm on a real strong ley line, and I can actually feel it. And then once I know it, I'll pull something and they'll go, "Oh yeah, I can feel it too. I just didn't know what I was feeling." It started me on my quest many years ago of being sensitive to those. So I can say with certainty that I can. There's definitely a change in the magnetic field around when you're on this. Absolutely, 1000% sure.
Wow, that's so cool. You're like the EMF whisperer.
Some people are intuitive without the thing. I'm just saying I can feel magnetic differences as you're at an area, either it's in the forest, on the crest, and wherever you are. If there's the magnetic field changes in an anomaly state in a certain very confined area, I can pick up on that decently well. Every single one of them, if we're zooming along a highway, like, oh, I thought I felt one back there. No, it's like if you're walking around and you kind of sit somewhere, you're walking slow, and just, you can start to feel something different that way. And temples always mark where they're at anyway. So that's an easy no-brainer one. It's just finding them. We have one on the back property up here. I go and sit around every so often.
Nice. Yeah. Wow. That's cool, man. That's really cool. So yes, you guys just, the key there is you can put up my screen there again.
Yeah. Thank everybody for spending your valuable time with us. I hope you're getting something out of this. There's truly so many bits of ancient history and knowledge that are all wrapping back into. This was taken us from as a civilization. This was taken from us, but rediscovered now. And now the proof is here scientifically, again, that what is old is new, and what is new is now old.
We want frequency medicine. We want ancient medicine. We want God's original MedBed of healing. And give us that, please. And that's where we're at now. So it's civilization, no question. So some of the things to look for: FDA Class 2 certification. Here's an example of a red light therapy and PMF study where they're combined, which is actually not common. And what they did was it was with androgenic alopecia. So they found that it worked much better than either therapy on their own. So red light therapy works by stimulating hair follicles by boosting their energy production, while PMF improves blood flow, reduces inflammation, activates the stem cells that support new hair growth. There you go. That's the process. That's why red light and that's why PMF work together so well. But good news is they work very well in isolation. So if you've like literally got like, well, I've got a thyroid issue, I've got enough money to buy one thing, then buy a red light product. No question. Don't buy the PMF. You've got enough money to buy one thing and you've got a thyroid issue, red light, slam dunk, no question. Easy. If you've got insomnia, which one? PEMF. And it's everything I'm saying here would be debatable, but I'm saying PMF. Like you just showed a red light belt, which you could flash up here. Like that's an example.
Yeah, I certainly can. This thing is awesome for on the go or just a quick one. Like even here sitting in the chair, I'll put it behind me. I'll put it right on my back.
You can make
here.
yourself big somehow there if you don't mind.
Yeah, turn that thing on, and then it's super simple to use. You just hold it on like this, and then like check out the light here. And if I want to change it as well, I can go to the setting where it just says set down on the bottom here, and then I'll pop it in, and you got the choice of infrared, near infrared, and then you can just use the setting you want. Sometimes if you want to go with just near infrared, notice how that knocks it down into this range here versus being the full red.
Yep, there you go.
So it depends on what you want to use it for. Again, thank you for spending your valuable time. I hope you got something out of our talk today. That's myredlight.com, and you can use the code ADAPT25 for 25% off your order. And I know because it was coming into Black Friday that you'd also set up ADAPT30 so you can get 30% off. Thank you so much for doing that. For
welcome.
Those of you who've been following our talks for the last few months here. I mean, super valuable information. This stuff's coming back out again, and history is history books, your crystal ball of where we're going on this. So
I'll just show that last screen there, and so you guys can just kind of understand how the technology backs out here and why we've done things the way we have. The groups did better when they used it in combination. That's why you can make a system like this where you've you wouldn't have it that far away. This is kind of just, you know, showing the concept, but you combining the red and the PMF together to make, you know, yourself your at home med bed, which when you go and try, you know, to look at a product like the Immortal bed, this is a $160,000 purchase, which actually I'm telling people it wouldn't work as well as what we have. And the reason is because it's the red light and PMF. So it's the same technology, and you can compare the specs, and we're both in the same league. But the reason why you'd get better results with this is because you can use it at the ideal times. You can use it before you go to bed. You can use it twice a day versus, you know, taking it couple times a week and still, you know, having it cost you so much to use a product like that. Whereas you can use it multiple times a day if you wish. You will absolutely get much better results because they match the parameters in the studies. That's the key. And that's why I'll show you here with the PMF mat. Look at this. It's the 180 milliwatts per centimeter squared. And you've got the 1 to 30 hertz range, the 150 millitesla magnetic field strength. And then with the 300 max panel as one of the examples, it's got the 205 milliwatts per centimeter squared at 3 inches. It's the highest tested irradiance. You got 9 wavelengths, which is 480, 590, 630, 660, 670, 810, 830, 850, and 1060. And then it's got dual LEDs, which do not flicker at all, 0 EMFs. That's why the LEDs are extremely effective at delivering light, and they're non-harmful in any way. And hence why you just saw a bunch of studies on LEDs and why they work so well. 3-year warranty, 50,000 rated lifespan hours, which means that you could use this for a lifetime. And that's why this at-home system would be literally one of the cheapest things you could possibly do. We've got payment plans. You could do monthly payments of whether it's that $50, $100, $150, whatever you choose as the monthly payment, if you want to do it that way, or you buy it outright. And in any case, it becomes the cheapest therapy to do because everything else you're reordering, you need to get an extra one for every family member, it's supplement bottles or any other therapies or, you know, things that you're paying for from practitioners. And, you know, you see a functional medicine doctor, it's often $800 an hour, and with nothing that's given to you, just advice. You've got a much cheaper system here and a much more effective system that does so much more for you. And that's the real message there, David. So thanks for having me. That's myredlight.com using the code ADAPT25 and ADAPT30. Thanks again, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. And I'll link everything below. You can click and go. And I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon and try to implement something that you learned today into your life. So I'll see you next time. Bye for now.